All right. Welcome to episode 2 of We Can't
Woo!
Code. Yeah, small little woo. Woo.
We made it to number 2. That's what counts.
Yeah, dude.
We're
It wasn't like
consistent.
a one and done thing. It's good that it's like happening a second time. But okay. So if you weren't here for the first episode, We Can't Code. That's the name of our podcast because we're not coders. We haven't really invested the time to learn how to code. Unfortunately, but
We have lives, so
but we love video games, and so instead of coding games, we just kind of criticize and talk about them. So that's the gist of that.
and then my name is Michael, so you can familiarize my voice.
And I'm Ben. Please don't get too familiar with me. We're not friends. No I'm kidding.
And if you listen to our first podcast, I was supposed to play Evil Within, and I did not because
You didn't play Evil with me. God damn it, Mike.
Okay, because one, I told in the first podcast I travel, and I have shitty internet when I'm staying at hotels, and Evil Within would just not download on my computer.
Excuses.
So,
that's all I'm hearing. You're just a little
all I
bitch.
then could play then was Killing Floor 2. That's all I played. I'm a little bit embarrassed. I was even telling myself I should play get back into what was I needed to get back into playing. Shoot.
Evil Within. We were just talking about. No, I'm kidding.
Well, not that one. Shut up. I wanted to get back into playing Hollow Knight, but I was just like, I really don't want to fight this one thing, and I was just like, I'd rather just kill a bunch of stuff.
The game library, it is always stacking. It's
Yep.
never like out of the few games that I play week to week. I'm always buying the humble monthlies, and it's like I finish one game
I'm
and I'm like,
with that
yeah,
too.
and then I get
6 other
12
games.
games at once.
It just builds up more and more. I can't beat that many games in a single month. It just I'm thinking about I'm subscribing from that honestly. But all I've been playing is Killing Floor 2, and I did mess up with my last description of the game. What changes when you raise the difficulty? Because I said that they get new moves every time you raise the difficulty.
In Killing Floor 2, right?
In Killing Floor 2, yeah.
Okay.
But I lied. It actually only happens when you raise it to the third difficulty when they get additional moves. And usually their additional move is for the weaker creatures, they dodge more and they lunge and go faster. And it's only the unique creatures that actually get special new abilities. But I just wanted to cover myself so I don't sound like a complete idiot from the first one. And
Mike,
I almost
Mike,
ruined
don't worry.
it.
You already do, but no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know. I'm dragging you down, Ben. You could have done better. But
new
so
opening
it's been-
for the podcast. If anyone wants to co-host, do this with me now. Apparently, that was Mike's audible resignation there. So, Mike, Mike, you made it through one, and I'll give you 0.1 episodes. There you go, bud.
Yeah, I got some criticism from some other of our fans, mostly just our friends. And to that note, you guys can go fuck yourselves.
Yeah, we're not friends anymore. Bye.
Yeah,
Give us money for our podcast. No I'm kidding.
So that's my excuse for that last episode. But back on track, Ben, I saw that you bought Cuphead.
Yeah.
Now, how's that?
It came out.
I need it.
It came out on Friday, and I already beat it.
What?
I put in I think 6 hours. Let me check here. Yeah,
Seriously,
6
6
hours. Dude,
I saw
I'm a
you
fucking
playing it.
beast.
Fuck. I didn't think you would just beat it so fast. Jeez. Well, I don't know. 6 hours. 6 hours is not fast, but fuck, 6 hours in.
Okay.
Damn.
I was looking some stuff up about it though because obviously it's the game's been news for the last 4 years. It was announced in 2014, I think, something like that.
Yeah, and
But-
it was immediately everyone fell in love with that game too. I'm excited to play it.
No, I recommend it. I guess I could go a little in depth here, so no spoilers, obviously. But I guess that I read earlier today that it has the most bosses in a single run and gun genre game, which I didn't even realize was a genre of its own. But
Yeah.
the
Wow.
previous score was 25, and this one has I think 5 more or something around there.
Okay,
But
so dirty.
I thought that was wild. I mean, for anyone that has seen the trailers or anything, you kind of see the same bosses over and over, and it was super cool to realize that I thought I was getting close to the end. I was like, okay, it's been a pretty good 2 hours. Like the
Yeah.
game's $20, and but honestly, I mean, it's such a diverse experience. It's like when you bought Portal 1, essentially. It's like,
Oh
wow,
yeah.
I spent $20 on this game, but holy shit, is it worth it? Cuphead's kind of in that same realm, but I got to the end of the first world and I was like, all right, it was a good game. And lo and behold, I'm like maybe 25% the way through, and I mean, obviously the difficulty keeps racking up and up and up and up, and I mean, so the first world takes like an hour and a half to get through, or depending on how good you are, and then you're playing the last boss or the last two bosses for like an hour separately. Holy shit, that
Uh,
game. It's
have you tried the co-op yet with it?
No, not yet. Bud, you got to get back here because I'm gonna be the one that's just like you're gonna be falling down over and over again, and you and I can do the co-op, and then I'll just be reviving you over and over again.
Sweet. That'd be awesome. Because the good thing is that I'll be back tomorrow for a week,
Fuck
and
yeah,
I'm
bro.
super excited.
Sweet.
And my main goal then is to one play Evil Within and beat it for next week because it is October and it is technically the Halloween month where everyone does Halloween topics. And two, then I can play Cuphead. I'm super excited. So my goal is to play Cuphead with you, play Evil Within, and then also actually need to work on our social media sites too. I need to get a little bit more into that stuff and customizing them, making them look a little bit more professional. To be
Yeah.
honest, I never used social media ever my entire life, so it's kind of an interesting experience for me just to work on that for this whole podcast thing.
Mike's
it's
had
hard.
Facebook for like maybe 7 years, and his main profile picture has changed like maybe 4 times.
Yeah, it's changed I think maybe only 3 times, honestly. I think one for my original photo, and then it's switched over to a fish, and then it finally switched to a new photo when I got a girlfriend finally, a serious one. And so I finally switched out of the fish because I didn't want our friends looking me up on Facebook and just see a fish on there. It was like I had to switch this. Only reason.
Who are you
like,
dating? Oh, does he have any actual pictures or just this
Yeah.
goddamn herring picture?
Yeah, I didn't even know like Vine existed until it was like Vine's no longer with us anymore. But I didn't realize that it was out until like a year later. When that thing about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was just awful. I'm just terrible at social media, so I'm kind of actually enjoying it because I'm actually learning how to use it now. So it's been a fun new experience, just trying to set us all up. So yeah, if you want to see my failure right now, we're on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch,
YouTube, and then so we're also on Google All Access, and we're hoping to get onto iTunes eventually. There's just some.
Just waiting. It just needs to be verified.
It's just some legislation we've got to cross.
Call them a bitch once, and it takes a week longer. I swear.
You gotta read the 500 pages of the user agreement. No, who reads that shit? Anyway, this tangent has gone on long enough. Obviously, we're on the social medias, all you hip young kids. I don't even want. Everyone always does the like, please follow, subscribe, like. It's like fuck.
No,
that.
we're not doing that. No,
I
we're
hate
not.
saying that shit. Obviously, we fucking.
The only
need
time
it,
you can
but
hear that, I'm drawing the line. That's the only time you're gonna hear us say this. That's it.
I'm not even
I
gonna
hate
say.
it.
It's just gonna be a tip of the hat. Like clearly, we need to know that we're liked if you want us to continue to do this. But no, I'm not gonna beg.
Well, you can
too
see by the
hard.
views. You can see by the views. YouTube at least tells us how much views we get, and if we get a lot of views for all the videos, then yeah, we know we're liked.
Whatever. Yeah, I guess.
If you really hate us and you want to punch a babe in the face, just give us a thumbs down thing on YouTube.
And if you want to punch a baby in the face in general, well, you should probably seek some help. Anyway, this tangent's gone on long enough. Let me finish up my basic Cuphead review. So, I wrote down a couple things about it when I was playing because I did want to bring up some points. So, I'll just blast through these because I just hate reading from a list. Like, I think podcasts should be more organic.
Yeah, I understand.
But okay, so it's a pros and cons list, so easy enough. Pros. The mechanics, really tight. There's like 4 buttons essentially. Super easy, and everything reacts pretty well. The most obvious pro is obviously the aesthetics. It's all, from what I can tell, hand-drawn animation, and then they digitalize it, and then they make, they make the flow, I guess. They make the movements with all the hand drawn art, but yeah, I mean every single frame has to be a hand drawn piece. So it's beautiful. If you don't know what the game looks like, it looks like 1930s Disney essentially. And speaking of that, on a 2-second tangent, it's funny to me that you look up the game definition and it always says it looks like 1930s cartoons. But everyone freaking knows it's just it looks like old Disney. Like
Yeah.
like Disney had their own very specific style, but they can't say it looks like Disney, you know?
Yeah. Because we all know, like, we all remember our old cartoons. They did not look like that. That's what Disney looked like.
Yeah. Okay. Here's another thing. This is gonna sound like a con, but it's actually a pro. Is that the story wasn't that engaging, but it's a freaking boss rush game. Like I'm happy with the amount of variety that they brought to the table, and when you're not like, it's just boss after boss after boss. You go to an area and you immediately fight a boss. There's a couple levels that are exceptions, but the story was like a perfect amount of like, this is why you're doing it, now go do it. You know, they didn't try to like force any more than it needed to be, and that was awesome.
That's nice. Those are the games I like a lot if I want to play by myself, too. Just I want a simple game where I can just pick up and just play. You know, I don't need to pay attention to the storyline or anything like that. Because sometimes I'm just in the mood to play those games, especially after long days of work, and I'm just like, I just want to play a simple game, you know?
And to go along with that, like there was a review that I watched a while ago that was on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, the first one on PlayStation 1. And it was like, okay, let's play this game. And you hit the button, you hit start, like, you know, career mode, you pick your character, and then it just drops you into the first level, like within 30 seconds of putting the game into your PlayStation 1. And someone was like, yeah, this is how it should be. It's a skateboarding game. Like, I don't want anything other than skateboarding.
Yeah, there's like nothing else to it.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to, is that like, was that the end of the list for you?
Well, okay, so the last pro, and
Last
there's
Pro.
I did enjoy it, so there's not a lot of cons, but the last pro is that the game was actually, to my skill level, it was a perfect amount of difficult. Each level always felt like a challenge, but at the same time, it never felt impossible. Like, you had to know how the bosses attacked and like what their, like, if it was like spread damage, or if, you know, that sound, or if that animation made that they were attacking from this side or that side. But in a game that's all bosses, it's really easy to restart, and like it's okay to die a couple times, I guess is what I'm getting at.
No, yeah, you just learn as you go, you know, you die, you come back, and you try again.
And some people have issues with that, where it's like, oh, how was I supposed to know that means that? Well, I actually don't have a problem with that, you know. I really appreciate the like the fast response times, and games like this, they flourish with that. So the two cons...
it's a boss rush too. So they expect you to replay the game, and this time hopefully you can try to beat it faster.
Yeah,
because that's usually the main goal of these games, and especially with boss rushes. Is, you know, you're supposed to beat them as fast as you can, and then you just replay it and try to do it faster.
Yeah, and
people love it.
I thought that was actually something else too. Is I feel like people are definitely gonna speedrun this game, for one, but two, it does a good job of like the scoring. You get like a scorecard at the end of each boss, and like, oh, you did a C-, you did a B+, you got an A. Like, I think that works pretty well for the type of game that it is. You know, just how can I perfect my combat with this guy? But anyway, so getting to the cons, there were a couple sections that weren't exclusively boss fights, and they were called run and gun sections, which are just like basic side scroller, but a lot of enemies attacking on the screen, and you just move from left to right essentially. Those ones, they were fine, but they felt kind of out of place, or maybe not out of place, but like uninspired, I guess, in comparison to the rest of the bosses, like the boss levels. Yeah. I don't know, when you've got like an entire level and background and everything dedicated to like one boss, that I like that, you know.
Yeah, so you think that just kind of they should have just taken those levels out then?
It adds variety, but I don't know.
But once again, it's just really just a boss rush. Why even bother having that to begin with? Especially you already got 6 hours in the game.
I appreciate the diversity, but I'm just saying I think it could have been accomplished better. Saying that it's
Yeah.
uninspired, I think, is a good way to put it, because it didn't feel like it had as much. It wasn't nearly as memorable as any of the bosses.
Right. It was more of a nuisance to you, would you say, than actually like fun?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because it's like that's the thing that people are talking lately. Is like, is it actually fun or is it just wasting your time at that point?
Yeah. And then, okay, so the last con that I had about it is that I did notice one bug, one issue with the game, and it was on the final enemy too, and it kept messing me up. And it was just, so once again, no spoilers or anything, but it was just like I was taking damage in an area, like a boss would do an attack, and I was taking damage in an area that I should have been fine in. Like, there was nothing hitting me or anything, but I would always take damage. And it was... I don't know if it was just, like, something hidden. It was on the corner of the screen, essentially, so I couldn't fully see my character. But I should have been okay, I believe. But... So, yeah, just one bug, and then the run and gun section were the cons.
You should look up that bug on Google and see if maybe anyone else ran into that same issue.
Maybe. I did try to find it. I only took like 2 seconds to try to find it, but I don't know. I don't want to pat myself in the back too hard, but like, I don't know. I beat the game pretty freaking quick. Like, I think people were doing a ton of stuff on like.
How many sit downs did you like? How many like times did you sit down and play it?
It's just 2.
Just 2? Fuck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 6 hours. It's
yeah. So that's 3 hours each.
Like, yeah, I woke up this morning and I think I put 4 hours into it this morning, and then when I got it on Friday, I put 2 hours or something. But yeah, so that's kind of like my official/unofficial Cuphead review. I think it's awesome. If you've got money to spare, $20, it's experiential. Like I said, it's like Portal.
It's 6 hours. You put how much is a movie ticket nowadays? Like $15 for a movie ticket. So it's like $5 more, and you get like 4 more hours of entertainment. And you can replay anytime you want, so...
Yeah, I'm excited to try out the multiplayer. I think the multiplayer is going to be good. With me knowing what's going on and my co-player having no idea what's going on, I think that could be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think you get a good laugh at that. I'd be definitely down to play that with you. Did you play with the controller, or did you do off the keyboard and mouse?
I can't even imagine with the keyboard and mouse. It's definitely a game where, like, placement... And I feel like accuracy is the wrong word, because you can only shoot diagonally up and forward, but like where your character stands is hugely important.
Right.
And there's a certain finesse with the controller and analog stick that I don't think you'd be able to match with the keyboard.
Keyboard, yeah, because it's only with the keyboard just go, and with the with the analog stick you can actually do a slow inches if you want to.
Yeah, I would not recommend it with the keyboard.
I hear they're coming out with a keyboard though now that actually has the ability to do that, and I want to check it out. Well, it's like you lightly press down your keys and then you move. So like there's gonna be pressures on your keys now, so you can lightly press it down and you can actually move slightly forward. It'll just like slow you down, or you can hold all the way down. So it's like an acceleration key basically. And I think it's on all of them or just on the WANSD.
Depending on how soon that's coming out, that might be worth looking into for like next week or like a later episode.
Yeah, or something. I want to take a look into that again because I saw that and everyone was talking about how that might be the thing that finally puts a coffin for just controllers if you can start doing that. Because controllers just dominate in driving games and all that stuff, and platforms too.
Yeah, I mean, to go from a complete driving force to talking about nails in the coffin, that sounds pretty dramatic, but...
yeah, no.
I mean, I could see it begin to happen, but we'll see.
Yeah. But did you play anything else besides Cuphead?
Okay, so that was since Friday, so that was just the weekend. This week, I played some Civ 5 earlier this week, actually.
Yeah, I actually noticed that.
And
Gandhi nuke you yet?
Warlord Gandhi. No,
love Gandhi.
Honestly, I don't have too much to say about Civ. I mean, if you haven't played it before, it's a good game. It's probably my top 3 most hours put in game.
Yeah, it's great just playing by yourself against a computer. It's just so much fun.
Mm-hmm. But no, I mean I was playing with a friend, and
oh really?
Yeah, we co-op on the same team. We actually
Nice.
okay. So once again, this is kind of an older game, so I don't know how many people are entirely interested in hearing it. But one funny thing that happened during Civ 5 is there when my friend and I we co-op on the same team. So then to make it even, we put the computers on teams of two as well. So
Yeah.
um, we start out, and my friend's having issues and with like barbarians, and I'm like thriving. Like
Fucking
I have
barbarians.
no issues. So I end up
Fucking hate them.
I end up going to war with someone like that's right next to me. I was like, well, I'm just gonna take this guy. Like they're nowhere near you, so it's not gonna
Yeah.
affect you. It's not a problem. Whatever. So I go and I declare war and I take this guy. And keep in mind this wasn't like super early in the game. We had like maybe 50 turns under our belt or something,
Oh
or
yeah, shit.
maybe
Yeah,
even
so that's
like
pretty.
maybe even like 100 turns, because those first couple turns they just
Yeah, they
they
go
take like
by.
2 seconds each.
So you're like mid game, basically.
Almost, yeah. I think we definitely had ships.
Oh yeah, definitely mid game then.
So I take this guy, and once again we've got ships. Like we're studying like astrology, and we're like halfway through the skill tree and almost halfway through the game essentially. The guy dies, and you can see on the scoreboard he's not there. And I was like, holy shit, I just killed this guy. Only made one city in the entire game.
Well, there's actually, I think there's two people you can play at that specialize in just having one city though.
Okay,
And then they,
if I remember correctly, one of them is Venice. I think Venice is
yeah.
the only one, but this guy, it was I think it might have been Caesar.
Caesar really had one city? I doubt it.
Yeah,
Caesar was
okay.
always a pain in the ass to deal with.
No, I
Guy
can't remember.
always
But
picks fights with me.
so what happened is they tried to grow. I remember in the first couple turns, I didn't notice that he was on a peninsula because I couldn't get to him. But essentially, there was this tight spot he had to get through, and all I did was just station a unit on the tile he had to get through, so he couldn't bring his settlers anywhere. And I guess he didn't learn how to sail. Like he didn't have sailing unlocked, so he just stayed on that peninsula. And then when I took him over, like we negotiated peace with his other like team player, and he was like, "You'll be gravely," like he was like giving us the death threat, like, "Yes, this agreement will work, but like you'll hear from us." He was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, go
this is
fuck
not
yourself."
over yet.
And so we were like laughing. We're like, "Oh man, how far did that put him behind?" And we just didn't see him on the scoreboard. So that was like the funniest thing ever, because we just wiped. This guy made one city, and we wiped out his civ, and then it happened a second time. So my buddy finally got done with barbarians, and unlike myself, I was intentionally blocking this guy from settling. He just goes to war with the nation adjacent to him. It's the only city that he made, and so
Were you guys
like
playing easy mode?
no, dude, I was playing. He was playing King, which whatever the equivalent to normal is, he was playing on that. And there's like
Okay.
there's a couple levels of difficulty, but he was playing in the
Yeah.
normal range, and I was playing slightly above normal. And yeah, so we wiped off two civilizations in a matter of like maybe 2 hours or something. And for anyone that's played Civ, you know that this game lasts. It can last like 15 hours a match.
Oh, they last forever.
Exactly, and so it's just the funniest thing in the world.
That's
It happened two separate times, but yeah. So that was it for me, and then so that was my week essentially.
yeah. And it kind of makes me want to play Civ 5 again.
It's a
But
good game.
it is. You can't complain to yeah. I mean, I like everything about it, especially Gandhi. The guy just likes nukes. What can I say?
Warlord Gandhi, motherfucker.
But yeah, that's what we've done for the week, and then I think that's a good time to move over to the top five. And
Yeah.
this time it's my turn to pick the top five.
I'm excited. I'm trying to like get my improv skills worked up here so I can kind of be like Johnny on the spot when you say it. But all right, what is it? What is it? I'm excited.
Okay, so it actually has to do something that we already discussed on it today. We already touched a little bit about it, and my top five is: what are your top favorite lores in video games? Like, when I mean lore is like the background of the world, like the world that the game is involved in. not just the story you're playing, but the world it's in. You understand?
Yeah, I get you.
And so it's like, which ones that you're just really just interested in? And I will start off with, because, once again, I'm just throwing this at you to give you some time to think. Like last time, I'm going to tell my fifth, fourth, and third. I can count.
That sure works. About that?
So, number 5 is Legend of Grimrock. And that is an RPG game where you play as 4 prisoners. And you're thrown on this island. So like they take this and that so actually let me start from the beginning. So basically you're 4 prisoners. You play as 4 people in this game and you're all chained together. And you're thrown on this island and basically the lore of this is like this island is always where they put prisoners on. And the main thing is that if you escape this island, you're free. You're no longer society's issue, but if you escape the island, you're a free person, all that stuff. You're basically reborn when you leave the island. But so then, since you're all chained together, you all move as one. And the only thing you really have control over in the movement is who are the 2 people in the front and 2 people in the back. And the game allows you to make your own characters. And you can, by own characters, I mean you can pick their race, what they do, and their sex. I just had to do it with just the characters they give you. Yeah.
I'm 14. No. He said the word sex. Okay. I'm like trying to make a list, and so I'm catching every word you say, and of course one of the words I catch is sex. I'm 14. Anyway.
So anyways, though, but the game is just full of, like, not only is it a fighting game, but it's also a huge puzzle game where you have to find, like, secret levers and solve puzzles as you play the game. And it's not really turn-based at all. It's just like creatures move freely by themselves, but if you usually move a space, then they move a space. And so when you attack, then they attack. But if you don't do anything, they will attack you. So it is sort of turn-based, say, but the game is
like
just
on a timer.
Yeah, basically.
You have a certain time to make a move, right?
And the game, though, man, just the world you're like, the level design is freaking fantastic, and just like these notes you find out throughout the whole world, it just really puts you into it. The sound effects, just everything in the game is great. Just as you explore to every next level is just wonderful. And I just really just enjoyed it a lot. It was like one of those games I thought I wasn't going to like, but when I played it, I was like totally invested into it. And so that's number 5. Number 4 is a game that came out recently. It's an indie game, and it's called Little Nightmares. Ben, I believe you know this game, but you haven't played it, have you?
Yeah, you were talking about this about a month ago or so, but it looked good. It looked subtle.
Yeah, it's a very subtle game, and it's like a game that has a look of stop motion characters, like Nightmare Before Christmas, and that game was fantastic. The design of all the characters and the people that you run into are just amazingly well done. People call it a horror game, but I more call it, it's not really a horror, it's more like eerie and just kind of
like unsettling.
Settling, yeah, that's a perfect way of putting it. But for me, it's kind of hard. I don't get scared of games that often, so I'm not also a good person to take points of view when a game is scary or not. But the game, I just absolutely loved it. Just the design of all the levels. And I just want to know, like, the thing is in the game, though, that no one says a word. Your character doesn't say anything. Even, like, the people you face don't say anything. And all you learn from the game are just the background, what you see in the background, and just from what you see the characters doing. And it's just fantastically beautiful game. And the controls are tight in the game, and it just made me just want to play more after I was done. It's sadly a very short game. They did come out with some DLC. I haven't played it yet, but I heard that that's also very, very short. So I'm a little disappointed, but I'm still going to be picking up later to play it. I even got all the achievements in the game because I just wanted to keep on playing this game because I just love the world it was in. And there's one thing we're trying to get, though. There's the last achievement I need to get is to beat the game in an hour and 30 minutes. And that's going to be a pain in the ass to get. But
that's hard.
I'm trying to do that also during next week, maybe next week or the following week. Honestly, I'm probably gonna re-download it and then play it try to do that not this week but the following, and try to see if I can get that achievement. So that's number 4. Number 3 is gonna have to be Metro. Metro is a
Oh, fuck. That's
yeah.
such a good one. God damn it. I'm looking through my Steam library, like... By the way, if you hear typing in the background, that's me, like, desperately trying to search
That's
for, like, top
mechanical
PS2
keyboard.
games or something, yeah.
And we're going to talk about that afterwards, after our top 5. But yeah,
Clickety
next
clack,
one is
clack, clack.
Metro, and
God
I'm
damn it.
guessing because of Ben, that's a good game. Metro is scenarios. It's after like nuclear war, the world is destroyed, and I think it's about a couple of years afterwards, and you're in Russia. And if you don't know a thing about, if there's one thing if you didn't know about Russia is that during the Cold War, they made all their subways bomb-proof, nuclear bomb-proofed. So the world that you play in is in that subway, and there's obviously mutated creatures. I need to stop saying "and." I just need to point that I'm saying "and" way too much.
Don't worry about it.
I hate that though. I'm hearing myself saying that. I'm like, stop it, just stop it, Michael.
It's one of those things that no one notices really until
Until you point it out.
Yeah,
I know,
it's
but
like...
it's just been driving my head nuts. And it's like as soon as I say it though, it becomes no longer an issue. But the game is all placed underground. There are some times you do go above ground. Sadly, though, the world is radiated, so you need gas masks to keep you alive, and you only have a limited amount of canisters to charge yourself to stay up there. And what's great, too, about that, though, is that your mask can be destroyed, so you have to immediately find another one to replace it. The game is just super intense at some points, too, and the gunfights are amazing. And Metro had, there's 2 of them out. I played the first one first, well, obviously, and then I played both of them. They're both great. The story is still really good. The only complaint I have about the second one is that the highest difficulty in that one is a DLC for some reason. They made the highest difficulty from the first one DLC for the second, which is that you die instantly, basically from gunfights, and so do your enemies. And it made it super realistic and made you, oh my god, that mode made it so much more fun. Because there were these giant creatures that used to be kind of a little bit bullet sponges. That one they drop faster, but since they're really fast, it just made the game even scarier. But the monsters and the humans in the game were just amazing, and it did the stealth. That stealth in the game was just fantastic.
Yeah, I
And
mean, sorry, I just want to quickly say, like, I know I'm kind of, like, writing down, making a list and whatnot, but I can vouch, if you haven't played Metro yet, what are you doing with your life?
that's something you gotta just check out. It's one if you love first-person shooter games and you want a challenge too, or just want to enjoy it, because there's like the easier modes are still playable by anyone. But if you actually want a nice challenge as well, man, Metro is the game for you. And then there's no one coming out, and this time it's after the nuclear waste is gone, and I'm super excited to play that one. That one looks really good too. The world just looks just as beautiful.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what that one was called. Is it Exodus, or was it something else?
I don't remember. Like, it was released during, that.
I'm just gonna look it up, just so I'm not full of shit. Yeah, okay, Metro Exodus, and release date 2018. Anyway, continue.
So yeah, that game, that story was fantastic, and the world, like, the environment was beautifully done, especially when you're just trying to sneak around people and that stuff. You start hearing them talking, the dialogue is great. And yeah, just another good game where just very well developed, and I just love the world, and I just want to know more about it. Just like how everyone else was doing too in the world. And that one goes into number 3. So I got 2 more to go. So now I'm going to hand over to you, Ben. You got your any of them set up for yourself?
Yeah, I've got the ones, I'm just ordering them right now. So I'll start with number 5. Mike, did you ever play Undertale?
Undertale. Let me just quickly. I think I have that. Let me just quickly look that up.
I feel like a bunch of people, like, well, yeah, for anyone listening, they're probably just like, you have to look up Undertale.
Okay.
Yeah,
Undertale, yeah. I played a little bit about it. I just didn't care much about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I thought the story of that one was really good, and
that's what I heard.
Well, maybe let me rephrase. Actually, sorry. Less maybe about the story and more that everything felt more real, I guess, because it wasn't like, oh, get to the bridge and kill the zombie king or something. The people conversed and talked and acted like they were unsure of themselves, and they like real people, you know. Whenever there's a part where you're like a character and you're or, of course no, but when you start, you like go to someone's house and they're trying to take care of you, and they're like, oh, I brought you some pie or something, or but like the characters, they do things that feel realistic, like this person is supposed to be watching over a kid, and you play as a kid, and so like you go to sleep in your bed and you wake up and like there's a piece of pie on the ground, like, oh, she made you some pie, and like it's so nice. Like there's a million of these other examples where like in the combat you can beat everyone essentially with combat or with like compassion, is I forget the term that they use specifically, but like if you're like
Mercy.
really nice to someone, yeah, you can give them you can like what they call is a mercy, and like you essentially befriend them. But so like when you're befriending people, it's never the same thing. It's never like, oh, the option is to high five someone every time. It's like if you're fighting a dog, the option is to pet the dog, you know, and the dog's response. It's never like, oh, the dog's happiness increased by 1. It's like the dog starts rapidly wagging its tail, like it.
Because you can't talk dog, you don't know what it's thinking.
Yeah, it doesn't, like Final Fantasy, I think they have this, they like try to tell a good story, but at the same time it's like, oh, you attack with hit does damage, hit does 64 damage, like,
right.
It's not like, oh, you go up to the dog, you pet the dog wags. It's like it tells much more of a narrative. So that's my number 5.
Yeah, there's one thing I like about that game that Tyler told me about, is that if you try to cheat the game, like if you don't like a decision you make and you quick save and come back to play it, the game remembers you doing that, and like there's like this flower that talks to you saying, hey, I know what you did. Yeah, you didn't like the decision, so you decided to change it. Well, that's fine. I just want you to know that I know you changed it. And that's it. It's great.
Yeah, I never tried that. I was honestly... What's up?
Tyler did a big boo-boo, so he had to change his choice.
Big boo-boo?
Yeah. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but he made a pretty big one that he didn't like.
Yeah. Well,
so that's what he told me.
I didn't realize you could beat everyone with compassion. I would... you can, like... Okay, so continuing with the example of, like, the dog. Like, I would pet the dog and pet the dog and pet the dog, and the dog would get, like, super excited and, you know... But I didn't realize that one of the buttons on the screen was mercy. I always thought it was, like, beg for mercy on your side. Like, I thought it was, like, in Pokemon, how the button is run. Like, yeah. I thought it was, like, a runaway move run away from the combat. And so I never picked it, and so I murdered everything. But apparently you can do a pacifist game where you don't kill a single thing, and like I thought I was being super kind because I was like, I was just being as nice as I could, and then inevitably I would land an attack and I would kill it essentially, like even though I was like petting the dog, I was like, this is doing nothing, and so eventually I'd like hit them once. And when you're compassionate enough, their defense just drops to, like, negative -1 billion. So, like, if you do an attack on them, they just die immediately. And that happened every single combat instance I was in. And I was like, okay, but I didn't realize that you could do any better than... I didn't realize that you could, give them mercy versus, like, I thought it was you beg for mercy. So
then I'm kind of disturbed that you just found out what mercy means and you're 27 years old. I kind of learned something new about you.
Not 27 years old. 26. But
whatever.
I thought we were best friends. No. Anyway. So that's...
I thought you knew what mercy meant. Apparently you don't. I'm a little bit worried about that.
Whatever. I played too much Pokemon, apparently. You always think the fourth option is run.
Yeah,
or like
mercy.
Flee or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
God.
But yeah.
It's so terrible to give someone mercy.
I finished the game and I got like the worst ending you can possibly get because I murdered everything. And I was like, I pet the... Like, how many times do I gotta fucking pet the dog?
It's okay, I killed the dog. I petted him before I killed him. It's okay.
Okay. So number 4.
No that excuse. But I pet the dog. Well, you fucking killed the dog.
But I pet it. He had a pretty good life. Okay.
Kill my dog. Why I petted him?
I
Like, it
just
makes it okay.
I just gotta make a T-shirt now that says "But I pet the dog." That'll just be my excuse from now on. Whenever I'm like an asshole or do anything wrong, I'll be like, "But I pet the dog." I mean, that's pretty good. Ben, you still
I
killed
love
it.
it.
You still
Ben
killed the
kills
dog.
everyone. And his only excuse is, but I pet the dog. Oh,
Okay,
God.
okay. Moving forward,
Oh,
number
shit.
four is
Yeah.
number
Ah.
four is Telltale's The Walking Dead. Um, and to give a brief summary, obviously this is talking about like narrative and stuff, so it
Yeah.
makes sense.
It's the world.
Walking Dead, based on a graphic novel. There's a TV show, obviously, as well. But Telltale's known, the developers, Telltale, they're known for doing more like choice driven games, I guess is the best way to put it.
I think
So,
the best example of it is if you ever remember reading those books when it's choose your own adventures kind of books where you actually
yeah.
flip to the exactly like that. You're given a dialogue and a choice, and sometimes there's quick time events too. But
Yeah.
once they make choices, they're settled. So
That's a great example. It's exactly that. Is like, the
it's a
zombies
game.
are coming, and yes, those zombies are coming, and two people give options of like, oh, we could fortify the walls of our base, or like, oh, we should run. And then depending on what you do, the next couple hours of gameplay might change dramatically, or sometimes they phone it in. But otherwise, sometimes the exact same fucking thing happens regardless. A lot of times, but it was the first game that actually made me feel like my decisions matter. Because before that
Yeah.
game, I mean, how much flexibility did you honestly get in a game? And not just like the ending, not like Mass Effect having like 3 million different endings or anything. Like just to change the last ending scene that you see is
Right.
not a game based on choice. A game based on choice is something where you make a choice every single episode or every single scene in the game, and it affects your relationships. And I'd say that The Walking Dead, Telltale's The Walking Dead, definitely accomplished that. And honestly, I don't have too much to say about The Walking Dead. It's just
People don't
it
know about it. Honestly, if you haven't heard about Walking Dead, even if you haven't watched it, you know about The Walking Dead.
well, yeah, but
But they do a good game, though. I mean, the game is fantastic, and the world that they develop in the game is fantastic.
yeah, and once again, the only reason that this is on the list, and it's a good reason, of course, obviously it still made the list, but it's because it gave me a true sense that I had a real choice and a real hand in the outcome of the game, aside from just like the last like ending scene or something.
Yeah.
Um, number three, is The Last of Us. Uh,
Ah, that almost made my list. It was close.
it's a good one. It's been a couple
Yeah,
of
it
years
is.
since it's come out, and I haven't played it in a while, but my brother-in-law is like obsessed with it. And the last time I saw him, he was telling me that he's played the original game like 3 times, and then when the remastered for PS4 came out, he played it like 2 additional times, and he was like, "Yeah, in the remastered edition, it's got the DLC for free," and he was
Yeah.
just like so jazzed about it, and
It was one of the main reasons why I also got the PS4 is so I could play Last of Us, and I'm glad I did that because man, even though I don't have my PS4 anymore, I give it to my brother. It was well worth it to play Last of Us 'cause that game was fun as fuck.
yeah.
It was good.
No, definitely. And I could get into the story about it, but honestly, the most striking thing about The Last of Us is that it really dove into character relationships more than
Yeah,
most any game I can think of. Um,
especially when
because,
you're just playing the game too. Just the side conversations while you're just like in the game, not just in cutscenes and stuff, is just incredibly done. The dialogue in those are just awesome.
yeah, it had the same feeling as Undertale. Undertale was more comical, obviously, but The Last of Us had like that. Like they had real conversations. It wasn't just like, oh, we've got to get to this point before the bomb explodes and we've got to defuse. It wasn't like always drama all the time. It was like, so what do you like to do for fun? And it was
Yeah.
like two people trying to know each other that don't really have any business knowing each other, and they're like, I don't really care. Like, don't talk to me. And
It's great because like when you're watching action films and they're going on these long journeys and it just like cuts right to when they get there. It's kind of like what you see. It's kind of shows you what happens between that journey, and it's just great.
yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I kind of going along with what you're saying. Like, if anyone's ever seen the movie Armageddon with Bruce Willis, it came out like in late '90s or something. Like, the best parts of those movies are just the fact that like they have to blow up a meteor from hitting the Earth, and they're just like a mining crew that they're like, hey, let's just train these miners to be astronauts. But the best part about that movie is like all the filler in between, them just like being, these just like construction worker-esque kind of attitude, like mining buddies, and they're just fucking around with each other, and they're like surrounded by all these NASA suits, and one guy, like, they're like recording them for like psychotherapy or
Oh, yeah.
like, yeah,
Just so that they can mentally handle the trip.
yeah, like, yeah, exactly. And so like they're recording the conversations with their therapists, and one guy grabs the microphone. He's like, "Yeah, the Cubs win the World Series." Everyone goes crazy. Like, it's moments like that that make it feel like, oh shit, they're fucked. Like, this
Yeah.
mission is like it makes you it puts you into the same
Mindset with the
atmosphere.
characters in The Last of Us. It just,
Yeah, started talking about Last of Us, ended with Armageddon. Let me tell you the narrative of Armageddon now.
I just let you take that one. I was like, I want to see where this goes.
And he's off. No. But yeah, I mean, pretty much Last of Us did the exact same thing. Is like, it doesn't matter the hero's journey, that story that everyone's always trying to tell, the Luke Skywalker blowing up the Death Star. It's not those actions that make the story interesting. It's the relationships they develop and the maturity that they gain. And Last of Us totally does a great job of just like, these are the characters, these are their flaws, and then you see them make the mistakes less and less and less and become better people at the end. And like, they still have their flaws, but they almost change personality completely because they've met this person, and it shows the impact. So those are my 5, 4, and 3. Did you want to continue with your 2? And
Yeah.
I'll give my 2.
So
and then you
then-
give your 1, and I'll give my 1.
My number 2 is Halo. Halo, obviously, Ben's not much a fan of, but it's one of those games I absolutely loved. Not only because I enjoyed the gameplay, but I just loved the whole world it was in. And I fell in so much love with the world that I even read the books, and the books were just as good as the game. I loved just learning more and more about the Spartans, where they came from, where the Covenant came from, and actually just the normal fights between the Covenants and the colonies, too. It was just fantastic. And the game is just... I love the game. There's not much to it because everyone knows Halo. It just...
I don't.
Space... Well, it just...
14-year-old testosterone man-child. 7 feet tall. Give him a rifle. No, but
Basically.
okay, sorry. What you're telling
I
me,
just
though,
joke.
is that you like it because the depth of the universe, right?
The death in the universe, and it's just a nice story. I love the world it's in. The characters are great. Every side character in the game that I ran into that actually matters, I enjoyed. And but yeah, there's not much to say about that game. To be honest, and it seems weird because it's my top second. But that's also why I stopped saying it. I just loved it because I just loved all the characters. Just playing through it was awesome, and it felt good just being a badass. But yeah, that's my number 2. Do you want to tell your number 2?
Yeah. So Mike watched me play this game a lot because it's an investment of time. But my number 2 is Persona 5. And we've got some jokes about the game. We've got some good inside jokes about the game because I honestly I've put I haven't beat it yet, but I've put like 65 hours into it.
No, here's the thing.
Fuck ton because it's a story game. Like, I don't know. What were you gonna say something, Mike?
I was gonna say this to so the people know. It's like I do not care for the game one bit. I'm not saying that because it's a bad game. I think it's a great game, but it's just not my type of game. But I did enjoy watching Ben play this game.
Okay.
It was
fucking fantastic.
You're like the Kanye West of top five. You're like, I'm gonna let you finish, but I just want you to know this game. I hated this game.
I just wanted to, so people just don't. I don't want people playing this saying, "Well, I hate this game." These two don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Dude,
I'm just saying.
you just K Wested me.
I just did, but I'm just saying that I do not care much for the game, but it was fun to watch you play it.
Should my number two be Beyonce? Is that what you're getting at? Or?
Basically. Sorry for sharing the game that you love so much.
I'm gonna let you finish, but let me shit all over it first. No. Okay. So to give a quick about it here, Persona 5. It's a game. Bunch of, and this is a Japanese anime like RPG, and it could not fit more into that title. Like every stereotype, it hits it like nail right to the hammer right to the head of the nail. Like your Japanese kids going to high school, and it's like, oh, high school problems, and then of course there's like monsters, and it's almost got like a Pokemon type of thing where you can collect the monsters and stuff, and it just every single cliche it could have done, like they stole it. But the best thing about it is just like I said, the game, I've played like 65 hours of it, and it's a 100-hour long campaign. Like, when's the last time you've ever heard of a 100-hour long story campaign? So that's Persona 5, just because of the depth, and kind of similar to Halo, just the fact that you get to play every single day. You know, it counts. It's an entire year of a game essentially, but every day you wake up, and you know it's July 13th, and you know you go to school, and then you choose to do what you do after school, and then you at the end of every day you go to sleep, and then the next day you wake up, and it's July 14th, and you go to school, and there's like a fuck ton of repetition, but that's what kind of makes the game, is like the second that something is out of place, you notice it because you've seen it 365 times by the end of the game. So yeah, Persona 5, if you haven't played it, it's really good, and it kind of does, to extend one more on that, one more point, is that it kind of almost has like an Animal Crossing feel to it, where if you ever play Animal Crossing, they celebrate the holidays in that game, where like if it's Christmas, there's Christmas decorations on the tree, and you know, if it's Halloween, everyone's wearing a Halloween costume. Like, it's cool because they'll tell you, oh, like we're going on a school trip in a week, and it's so stupid, but you kind of get excited in 7 days in the game. You're like, man, I'm kind of excited to see this school trip. Because just like the mundaneness of normal life, there's the mundaneness of the game, where like it drives it into you that you're like, I fucking hate school, and like you get excited.
It makes you just so bored.
You get excited. It makes you
excited to go to school trip in a video game.
Yeah, but like it's different. Like, it's cool that your character.
This is why I don't like this game.
It's cool that your character doesn't have to wear like his school uniform, and it's cool that like
he gets to wear something else.
It's
because you see the same thing over 100 times.
I know. I'm slowly losing my audience's attention here, but no.
What to say?
I like it.
Is beautiful. Like when you get into the combat, it is just amazing. It's beautiful to look at. It's well drawn and very fluent too. I give it that.
All right, go to your number one now. I have nothing else to say about Persona 5. It's good, but yeah, I don't think I'm ever gonna fucking beat it, because once again, it's just fucking long.
Yeah. Oh, we might have to do a sit down with you, and we'll beat it together. I'll keep you going.
A 30-hour sit down, dude. We're gonna need a lot of pizza rolls.
Man, that actually sounds like fun now. Get some beer. So we should do that. We should do that.
Wasted and play like high schooler kids and shit.
That sounds amazing. That actually sounds like fun. All right, you sold me on that.
I picture this like wonderful weekend that we have planned, where we're just like, we're gonna beat Persona 5, and like on paper it sounds good, but in reality it's gonna be like you and me, like we haven't changed clothes since Friday, and it's Sunday morning, and like our eyes are just our eyes are just like bleeding from watching the TV so long, and you're like, hey Mike, you want to order a pizza? And you're gonna be like, Ben, we already got one on the way, remember? And I was like, oh yeah. And then we look over and there's like 5 other pizza boxes on the ground, and we're like, what have we done with this weekend? Sounds fucking terrible. I don't know.
Sounds like an amazing weekend. We should definitely do this. We should make a huge party out of this, actually. It'd be fun having people just watch. Just
Hey,
like,
I
because
know,
like you said, it's mundane, so while like, we're just watching these fucking high schoolers do nothing, we might as well just get wasted.
get a
Just have
bunch of
fun.
people to watch. Hey, I know I've already put 65 hours into this game, but I'm not gonna explain it. But maybe you'll understand
It'll
what's
make
going
it
on.
even better.
So what's going on? Are you guys like are you like catching Pokemon? Are you killing those guys? Yeah, whatever. It's all good. All right,
Chop their heads off, mixing them together to make stronger. So, yeah,
go
totally.
out and get barbecue with your friends.
You know, you got to beat the burger.
Yeah. All right, Mike. What's your number one? Do you
That's not making fun.
I was gonna
Number
do a drum
one.
roll, but never mind. Go for it.
Oh, thanks. Number one is BioShock. That one is my number one is BioShock. I brought it up last time, but that game, damn, I just love the whole environment of that game. Just fantastic. If you don't know what the game is, you get in a plane crash, and then you find a lighthouse. You go into the lighthouse, and then it takes you into an underworld city, and was supposed to be that's destroyed now. You can still walk inside of that, but it used to be a society made for people who are tired of just following the basic rules of economics. They wanted to get away from all that stuff. They wanted to get away from capitalism, socialism, religion. They just wanted to be on their own, just do their own stuff, and keep what they made. Sadly, it was. The time was great in the game, but then somehow during the day, they came up with this thing called Atom, which if you injected to yourself, gave you special powers. And they'd be either from shooting bees from your wrist, shooting lightning, having control of gravity, and a whole other stuff too. Sadly, though, what they didn't realize is that the atom also altered them and mutated them too, made them disfigured and crazy. And over time, the city collapsed.
Are you
And that's
describing BioShock or like Detroit from the 1980s? Yeah, everything was good, and then drugs came in, and the cities were fucking messed up.
Fuck.
Zing.
We love you, Detroit listeners. We love you.
Detroit. No, I take that back. Gary, Indiana can suck my balls.
But that's when you show up though after it's destroyed. And then your main goal is just to, and then you're there and you're just trying to find a way to get out. And then someone helps you try to find your way out. And it's just fantastic as you're in this world. Because they're just, man, it's just so beautiful. And they're like, all of these characters you run into are just amazing. And just messed up. And even the bosses are great stories to them too. Which is funny because they don't tell you the story. You have to find the tapes. And this is the first game I ever ran into where where I actually found every single like certain type of item. You know, it's like a side thing. You know, find all the maps or find all the teddy bears. Usually, I hate doing those missions. I think they're a waste of time. This is the first one where I actually found every single tape, just because they were so interesting to listen to and just to hear people's daily lives or to learn more about the people that I fought. But yeah, man. If you haven't played BioShock, and I'm just talking about BioShock 1, BioShock 2 and 3, I'm like, they were okay. BioShock 3, I think, was given too much credit for what it really was. BioShock 1, that was fantastic and beautiful made game. Fantastic story, fantastic level, fantastic just lore and everything put together.
So I want to ask you this.
I played the game 100 times. What?
I want to ask you this. And I appreciate your number one answer. I'm not criticizing it. I don't want you to take this the wrong way.
I don't care.
How do you think the game would have benefited or like lost a little bit of respect for you if the story was more available, if you didn't have to seek it out? Like you said, you had to find tapes, and
well, the thing is
I played BioShock and I never did find the tapes.
The thing about that, though, is that the main story is of you just trying to get out of this crazy world that you just got stuck in. So it just makes sense that the person wouldn't really know anything about it. Me finding more about that was my own goal to learn more about the world. It wasn't my main character's main goal. His goal was like, I just need to get the fuck out of here, which is an awesome. It was
So that's why I'm like, this is my number one for lore too. Is that I want to learn more about this damn world, and I didn't have to. It wasn't given to me, but I still love the game. But I wanted to even know more about it. I just wanted to find everything about I could about the like how people lived beforehand, how they live now. Because it was some tapes were like way before the crisis of like when things started going downhill,
Hmm.
and some of them were during the crisis too. And it was just really cool just to learn more about it. And I just loved it to death. Every single time I found a tape, I was super excited just to like find a safe place to listen to it. My only gripe about the game is I think it was difficult to listen back to the older tapes. But yeah, that's my number one because it was like one of the games where I first actually went out to collect all the collectibles. I think it was actually the first game I completed 100% too. I don't really do achievements anymore because it's kind of annoying. Because nowadays, if DLC comes out, it gives you more achievements, so you can't really 100% games until you buy the DLC, which I think is bullshit. I think those should only show up after you buy the DLC.
Hmm.
That's a different discussion. But yeah, it was like because damn, that game was just good. Just loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Livestock, number one. So then I got so to before we get to you then, well, Jim, let's do you, and then we'll recap again. So what's your number one, Ben?
My number one is Kingdom Hearts.
Ah, yeah.
Yep. I don't know. It's definitely falling off of the nostalgia train, I guess, from what we talked about last week. But uh, the writing wasn't the best. I don't think it was anywhere near even good. Um,
But it was surprising what it was based off of. I was very surprised actually how much I enjoyed the story.
well, okay. So here's the thing: is that I was trying to write down a list of like why, because I was talking about this, and I was like, why did I like this game so much? I didn't quite understand why I did because the story isn't that great, but I felt a personal connection to it.
Well, I mean, the
And
story doesn't have to be good for to like a game.
well, what I came to is that for as a basic premise to Kingdom Hearts or a basic description, there's this evil that's taking over and it's destroying all these worlds, and you as a character travel world to world to like save the world or
Yeah.
to save each world as you go from one to the other. But the thing that's really interesting about it is that you don't play as just once again you don't play as like some gung ho action hero. Like although it doesn't have those really like um, casual Last of Us moments, what it does have is the selfishness of the character that you play as. So like I said, I kind of broke this down like 2 days ago, so I'll explain. While the worlds are being destroyed, you have two friends, and they both disappear, and you're trying to find them, and you're like that they're somewhere else. They're not dead. You know that they're somewhere else, but you have to find them. And it's interesting because you're playing with a group of people that all they care about is saving every world, and you play as like a 13-year-old kid, and your character's like, yeah, I understand, we gotta save the world, but you're
I'm
playing
sorry, I
because
can't
you
hear you over the train that's going by your damn room.
seriously.
No, I can hear you. I just hear the train. Just give yourself a second, because I was just like hearing you, and then all of a sudden I hear the train go by. I just totally got distracted. I was like, "What the fuck?"
But so everyone around you is they're like dead set on saving the world, but you as a 14-year-old kid, you're not mature enough to understand like the depth of this impending doom. The only thing that you're doing is just trying to save your friends. And I thought that that was really interesting because above everything else, you make sacrifices that are against the world to get closer to your friends at points, and it's really interesting. I thought it was interesting because you'll do things that make absolutely no sense at all. You know, you're bringing the impendingness of the world closer, or that this doom closer. But you're like, oh, it puts me on the same world as my friends, or like I can save my friends now. And although it didn't have like the best writing or anything, it was cool that the character took on such a selfish role, and like you got to see it through his eyes, I guess.
No, yeah, because a lot of times we see stories like you said, and usually the person's like always heroic. It's nice to see someone who's usually trying to do something for themselves for once. It's a really kind of rare story you see.
Yeah, and once again, it kind of like The Last of Us kind of plays on that selfish
Yeah, it
role
does
as
actually
well.
too.
But I mean, once again, this is where the nostalgia hit is like I played Kingdom Hearts when I was like 12. So I mean, it's like if I played The Last of Us when I was 12 and I was like, wow, this game I've never
Was that a
experienced, these
PS2 game?
emotions. Kingdom Hearts was PS2.
Okay. Do you have like you should probably if you have it, you should probably give it a replay and see what you think of it still.
I play it probably once every 2 years. It's
Oh wow, really? That's cool.
yeah. Um, but yeah, so that's my list. So to recap for me, 5 is Undertale, 4 is The Walking Dead, 3 is The Last of Us, 2 is Persona 5, and 1 is Kingdom Hearts. I do want to give an honorable mention to The Wolf Among Us, Telltale's Wolf Among Us. I,
Ah,
I
yeah.
would have given that spot instead of The Walking Dead, but I honestly, between the two, I think The Wolf Among Us is better, but I gave it to The Walking Dead because it was the first, like, choice based game. Like it was a new fresh experience. The Wolf Among Us, uh, it took that formula and it improved, but it still didn't have that like wow, blown away. These choices actually matter. So yeah.
Here's one side tip, by the way, to people listening to this. If you play Wolf Among Us, if you're not British, when they say glass him, it's not saying give him a glass of beer. It's saying smash his face in with a glass.
Yeah, I
Okay?
messed that up.
Yeah, so that's just something you need to know.
You
Luckily,
try
I
to be compassionate and give your buddy a beer when he's down, and instead you smash the glass over his face and start a bar fight. I didn't freaking know that. I guess that's just.
I only knew that because I wrote a news article like one time, like a long time ago, how in England that glassing people is up by like 10%. That's the only reason why I knew what that meant.
Oh, nice. Everyone's being a lot better, just giving each other more beers. That's pretty great. It's a
Yeah,
good article.
yeah, they're showing them mercy and all that stuff.
uh,
Ugh.
and then what
So
was your
back to
top
my
five? Yeah.
yeah. So my top five was The Legend of Grimrock. Then there was Little Nightmares, Metro, Halo, and Bioshock. My honorable mention is Last of Us. That one is I was really debating put that one on the list or not, but that one is a very good one as well. So at least one that should be still mentioned at least twice.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, done with top five. One thing I did want to talk about this week is the Super Nintendo Classic came out, and the Nintendo Classic came out last year. And I'm looking at news stories, and now Atari, I guess, is making the
I can't
Atari box.
I can't believe that. It's like I'm looking at it. It looks like a modern Atari box.
Yeah, so
It's
I mean, just as like a general, like to get your thoughts, I guess, Mike. Like, what do you think about? Like, I understand that there's like this new market. They haven't, this younger generation. They haven't played these games, and they're good games. Like, I'm not gonna deny anyone to ever play like Kirby, the original Kirby games, or like the original Mario games or whatever. But at the same time, I mean,
I really don't mind them. I mean, they're just simple systems with really old games in it and all in one thing. Depending how much they're going to be selling them for, if it's for a fair price, I really have nothing against it.
so here's. It's funny that you said that though, because so once again, the Nintendo Classic, Nintendo Entertainment System Classic, came out last year. I believe it was $70. The Super Nintendo Classic came out just a couple days ago, $70. The Atari box, which it doesn't. I should before I get into the price, it doesn't just play old games. Supposedly, as they say, it I'm trying to find the specific line in the article. I can't. But it's supposed to play games like Minecraft and lightweight indie titles like current, but also along with playing Atari games from the past. So it's supposed to be kind of like a reasonably decent computer, essentially, like a Steam box almost, but a shit
Yeah, it
Steam
sounds like a
box.
Steam box, and I think that's kind of silly. I think it should just really. I mean, depending on how much it raises the prices for that, people are not going to people are not going to want to play indie games on this device. They're going to just play it on their computers or just on their consoles.
So the cost of it, the other ones were $70. Keep in mind, this one is
Yeah.
between $250 and $300.
And I'm not. No one's going to pay that. That's just stupid. I'm sorry. I mean, they should have just done what Nintendo did and just fill the Atari system with just the Atari games on it, but just maybe with better graphics on it,
Yeah.
and not try to make it other hardware.
Well,
So,
I don't even know. Like, if you've ever played Atari, like the graphics, we're talking like Pong and
yeah,
like games that are single word titles, like Adventure. I mean, there's nowhere to improve on the graphics because the graphics
yeah, that's true.
are squares.
Yeah, it's. I don't.
You can't make the edges more crisp.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So
So
like,
yeah,
uh,
you get a less you get a more rudimentary game, and
I
you get
mean,
like another way to play Minecraft, and you're
all the
paying
games
four
are you can
times.
just basically play in your browser. You don't even need to download them.
Yeah, like
Why?
Minecraft you can play on your phone now. I mean,
Yeah.
like I
It's
guess
just like and why even bother putting why put the effort and just the cost and making it be able to play other games?
yeah, I'm
And
not
like you
really
like
sure.
it just this seems kind of silly.
The tough thing about it though is like Atari is a huge staple in the gaming industry. I'm just trying to think of like how many titles. Like there are some really big titles like Pac-Man. I never owned an Atari, so I apologize if I make any like massive mistakes here. But Pac-Man was on the
When did
Atari,
that come out? When
um,
did
and a couple other things. But like I don't think there were nearly as many classics of classics, and NES had a bunch of classics. Like that's when
yeah.
gaming really started to take a handle or a hold on an industry. Um, just because Atari is the first doesn't mean that it's got like a more nostalgic uh, game list. But maybe that's just the generation I grew up in.
Yeah, I mean it came out in 1975.
Hmm.
So, I mean, is there even an audience that would even buy that?
I'm sure there is. Um, at the very least, it's a collector's item. But I mean, I think that if it was a reasonable price, it's tough though, dude. Like, would you pay $300 to play
No,
Pong?
not even close.
I mean, I
No.
think I could type in Pac-Man into my browser and find an online
There's like a
browser
thousand,
Pac-Man.
yeah, there's a thousand ways to play Pac-Man for free, even off your damn phone. No one's gonna buy this.
I
It doesn't even look like the original Atari. It looks like looks like something else.
it's well,
Like,
once again, funny that you mentioned that. They're gonna have it with the like classic wood finish on it.
yeah, I see
It's
that.
yeah.
But it doesn't look like that's why everyone also liked the other ones too, that they actually looked like the old systems. They
Yeah,
bought it for nostalgia. This is not going to be much nostalgia at all. I mean,
yeah, it's got the same material, but it doesn't look the same. The box
yeah.
isn't the same.
I mean, that's pretty much like one of the number one reasons why people bought the last ones. Not really for the games, just to have the system back again in their house
I don't know
and
about
be able
that.
to play them.
I don't know about that. Super Nintendo Classic, and once again, came out a couple days ago, but I never played Super Metroid, and that one's a pretty easy title to find, relatively. I mean, there's games like Star Fox 2 you can't even get anywhere except for the Super Nintendo Classic now. That was a never released game. And then more
Yeah.
importantly, Earthbound was released like very very few copies were released in the USA, and that's actually on the SNES. But yeah, that makes sense to have. I would buy an SNES Classic for $70 just to play those games. Um, but
And
no,
I'm not going to pay $200.
yeah, well, $300, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting thing. This article continues, and it's saying that so Atari, I didn't know this. Atari doesn't really hit the news for me much anymore, but Atari went bankrupt in 2013. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
Who bought it?
Uh, the CEO is Fred It looks French. I don't know.
Yeah.
If I was gonna say it as American as I could, Chesnais.
All right.
Which is I'm 100% positive is not the way you pronounce it, but I guess that he was quoted saying we're back in the hardware business, meaning that they're not looking to do software like games anymore. They're looking to do consoles and like hardware tech, physical items. So I mean, we'll see how it goes, but I think Fred is taking Atari back to the grave with that choice. It seems like a saturated market to make another game console, you know?
Yeah, I'm just reading the comments, seeing what people think of it, and a lot of positive response to it.
That's so weird. Once again,
Yeah.
it might just be our age. It might just be that we didn't grow up with the Atari.
Yeah, there must be the people who did. So just like, or maybe just people who want to be hipsters.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I mean, if anyone wants to, depending on what platform you're listening to this, like, I'm interested to hear if you guys are
Yeah.
actually, like, between $250 and $300. If you would pay that much to play Pong again, or Pac-Man, or play your Minecraft on your TV, like, we don't even know the controllers that this thing is gonna have. If it's gonna have an Atari controller, good luck playing Minecraft on the, like. If I
Well, here's
remember,
the
an Atari controller
yeah.
is just a dial, isn't it? A dial and one button.
Yeah, and the thing though too is that people want to play on television, they can just plug in their laptop to their TV, and pretty much everyone here has a damn laptop
Yeah,
nowadays.
that's I don't know. We'll see, but I'm interested in hearing some thoughts.
Yeah, no, Sam. It's like I'm very because like I'm blown away by the comments alone. Like people are actually excited about this, and
I
like, okay,
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to come across as biased as I do. I am
no,
I'm kind of
that
reading
is
the article as I'm talking about it, and I am surprised at the price. I'm gonna be
I think
honest.
that price is bullshit. I'm sorry. $70 is great for what you're getting. I think I think that $70 is actually one hell of a steal from what they're selling because like I think people would pay a lot more for that in the end, but $70 was perfect. But like I thought the rounds were gonna charge people like $100 for it, but 70 I was like okay, $10 more than an average game. Damn. And but this, it's like I mean, you can buy if you want to play Atari games, like especially with the old controller. You can. They actually have handheld controllers of Atari where it has the games built into the controller and just plug it into your TV.
Yeah, no, they got that shit at like Walmart. But okay,
Yeah, I have one.
here's one thing on this article I'm reading. So to go along with this, and this is where the price is getting me. I gotta be honest, but it says so it's talking about the library that Atari has and all the games it owns. So it owns 200 different video game properties, and it says for a better hint at what to expect from the company, just check out Atari's Greatest Hits app for iOS and Android. It offers 100 classic Atari games that you can buy in small bundles, or you can unlock the entire library, which is 200 games, for $10. And you're gonna sit there and tell me that this thing that plays these games is gonna cost me $300? Like, you can buy every single game ever, apparent from what I can tell, every single game on the Android or iOS store for $10, and you're gonna tell me I need to spend 290 additional
And
dollars?
that's pretty much the only reason why I think they built it in so you can play other games on it, so they can try to sell it at that price.
I,
I just think I think it's stupid. But that's my opinion. Like, apparently people like the idea. Maybe they didn't fully read the article and saw that, but I think it's just nuts. I
at the
mean, it looks
same,
cool. It looks cool, but
yeah,
I just, I just, I'm still blown away by the comments. Like, people who actually like it. I'm like, okay. I mean, there's some people criticizing like I am, but still, people are like super excited. I'm like, fine. I mean, you do you. It's your money. You can spend it any way you want to, and that's the beautiful thing about when you have money. You can buy anything you want.
I wonder if it's gonna like deviate from what it is currently, because like, do you remember when the
I hope
Xbox One
so.
was coming out and they were talking about how like you have to have a Connect with it, and
Oh yeah, that
yeah,
shit.
and then like
That was funny.
there was the thing with trading games, how like each game is gonna come with a serial code and you can't trade games or anything. Like
Oh yeah, you
they
can't
pivoted.
really. Yeah, they changed. So I hopefully they change too. Maybe try to go like what Nintendo did.
They need to add an additional feature in some way. In my eyes, I don't think three
The
hundred
photos
dollars is
don't even
worth it.
show controllers either, and it looks like the controllers are gonna be wireless too.
Yeah, it does. From the front of the box, I'm not seeing any ports or anything. But
Ports in the back are all for stuff to like connect to the internet, to your TV, and it looks like you can plug in some USBs in the back side.
mhm.
So, so yeah, maybe you just plug in the back. So I think you can probably put in the controllers in the back.
Yeah.
And like the original, you had to put them in the back too, actually. So
Hmm. It seems like a weird spot, but I'm not
yeah,
gonna. If they're trying to stick with the old school, then I guess that might make sense. But okay, yeah, I wanted your opinion on it, I guess, because with all
yeah. I
these
just
remakes and stuff lately, I mean, the new It movie came out, but that's a remake. Another Lego movie came out, but that's a remake. I mean, like, when's the last original thing I've seen? I've been trying
dude,
to think about it.
that's a whole conversation that I can just rant about forever about. When's the last original thing we really see, and it's been a long time.
All right. Well, maybe we'll have to do like a top five like original things you've seen this year. I'd need like a
Can we
good
even? I don't,
15 minutes to
dude.
even
I'll need
think.
like a fucking day to figure that one out. I can't. I really can't think back to the last original thing that came out. I mean, that's
I
what I also liked about last like these games I had that are on my list. They're all like original when they first came out,
Yeah.
and it's like, I just, yeah, that's like a whole other discussion that kind of ticks me off a bit. Honestly, it's one of my buttons. It's just like, oh, I really can't remember anything. Even like movies, games, TVs, all just been rehashes lately. I feel like, but
Mm-hmm.
that's something I'm not willing to dive into right now.
All right. Well then we'll.
Sorry, it's that's something that's gonna take a whole other podcast to talk about. I feel.
No, it's fine. And if anything, that's a good transition. To one of the last things on our podcast is we like to talk about what's coming out soon.
Can you shoot me that link on Steam so I can
No.
look it up?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, you went offline.
Here,
Not
I'm
cool.
logging back in, just so no one bothered me.
I know. I mean, that's why I just put away.
All right, there.
Thank you.
All right. So, um, last week we talked about, at least for me, the thing I was most excited about for was Cuphead, and we talked about Cuphead. I think it's a great game. Definitely a buy if you're on the fence about it. Moving down the list, so the next couple batch of games comes out on October 3rd, starting with Batman: the Enemy Within. This is a Telltale game. I don't know if it. The first one I heard kind of flopped, but we'll see. I feel like I need to mention that out of all these other titles, like I don't really care about the Hunter.
I heard
Maybe that's something.
critics. I heard that critics who played the this one said it's a lot better than the first one, and that Telltale's actually really nailed it this time. So they said that this one's pretty good. So if you like the Telltale games, but you didn't care much for the first Bat one, you should probably get this one because they say it's a lot better.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm definitely a really hard critic when it comes to Telltale these days, because although I liked The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us, that formula's getting old, man. If you've played
Yeah.
like a couple of those games, but we'll see. Running down the list, we're only going to go a couple of weeks in, just because obviously we want to make sure that there's some stuff for following podcast episodes. We don't want to be like talking about 6 months in the future for the next 5 months.
Yeah. The
Um,
hunting game. Yeah, it seems like pretty straightforward.
well,
We
for
should
me,
definitely I need to figure out a way to look up Steam games coming out because a lot of these are just basically console games.
yeah, okay. So Middle Earth: Shadow War. We mentioned this last week.
That's going to sell a lot. I mean, I hear
Well,
it's going to be a good game.
Well, yeah, AAA. It looks pretty good. There was that
Yeah.
whole debacle about the DLC, but I
Yeah,
guess
it's now free.
yeah.
That
So
DLC is now free.
Warner Brothers they choked under the pressure and they're
I kind of
paying
feel bad for
attention.
the kind of feel bad for the family because now they're not going to get any money now. But like I can see why people are having issues with it though because
No, they're
uh
donating.
okay.
They're making a donation to the family, and the DLC is also going to be for free.
Oh, nice. That's good to hear.
Hmm.
Nice. I'm happy to hear about that. I was a little bit because I was sad when I heard that was going to be free. I'm like, oh, so they're not going to get any money then. That's good to hear they're going to get a donation.
All right. Moving down.
There's a lot of just sports games, and I just do not care for sports games one bit.
Yeah, if you're a fan of specifically sports games and not other games, I feel bad to say that this podcast might not be for you. But you're probably not listening. We've been talking for an hour and a half this episode. You've probably
Yeah.
caught on to that by now.
Yeah, especially from the last episode, apparently.
Evil Within 2, Mike, comes out in 2 weeks, bud. You got this?
Yeah, I'll have it. I'll be ready for it.
All
I
right.
promise.
Cause I'm gonna make that. I might make that a day one buy. The first game
Wow.
got extremely questionable reviews, but you know what? I'm ready for Halloween. I'm ready for like scary movies. I saw.
Oh, we should
I
have done
saw
the
it
Halloween
2
segment
weekends
today.
ago. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. Halloween, so we got, like, what, 4 more weeks? So.
Yeah, something like that. We're building up anticipation. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Evil Within's coming up. Evil Within 2 in 2 weeks. We'll probably touch on that next weekend as well.
I'm not seeing much so far. Once again, we're looking off the GameStop website. I think it's coming out. So
Yeah, if you guys know of any good like Steam games or anything, like they don't cover indie games on GameStop. Only stuff that they would sell in store. So like if there's any good Steam games that we forgot, let us know. Of course.
I have some Steam games I like to talk about that came out actually just recently. I think they came out 2 days ago.
Mike, we already talked about Cuphead. No, I'm kidding.
One of them's called Ruiner, Ruiner. It's a top-down game, and it looks freaking amazing. The graphics look incredible. The gameplay looks fast and fun, and it reminds me of. Let's see the game if I can quickly find
Sounds
it
like
here.
Hotline Miami from what you're
Yes,
describing.
it looks like that, but with actually realistic graphics, and it just looks stupid fun. I'm really excited to play this game.
Huh.
But I have just it's like the problem with a gamer nowadays is just so many damn games come out, and I feel like this year a lot of good games are coming out. Because now just recently, so like we have Cuphead, and then we have this game coming out, and then there's Hollow Knight.
This year, yeah.
Yeah, I had to play. It's endless. And another one that came out that I want to talk about is Hobbs. And Hobbs, it looks like a modern day Zelda, it looks like kind of like a Zelda game. Where it's like open world game, just exploring and fighting creatures and bosses and stuff, but it looks so beautiful and amazing. So the basic dialogue, I should read the dialogues. So this is Hobbs' quick little introduction to it on Steam. Transform the world of Hobbs, a new action adventure from Runic Games, the award-winning studio behind Torchlight 1 and 2.
Oh, cool.
It's your chance to make it home. And this game looks beautiful. Just the design of the game and just the artwork looks awesome.
Sorry, was it like a 3D game or?
It's a 3D game, yeah. It's a 3D top game. The camera changes from the point of view where you're at, but it's kind of like Zelda camera.
Okay.
Not like old Zelda, and it's like the new Zelda game that came out, kind of camera work.
So for a 2-second summary, it's if Zelda was made by an indie developer.
Basically, but looks really good. Just the artwork the style of the game looks great.
Okay.
And let's see, this is Ruiner. Description: Ruiner is a brutal action shooter set in the year of 2091 in the cyber metropolis Ragnarok. Weird name, but all right. I like how it just starts.
This
next
is
with,
important, by the way.
It starts with a weird psychopathic lashes out against a corrupt system to uncover the truth and retrieve his kidnapped brother under the guidance of a secretive hacker friend. So it's exactly the same storyline of Hotline in the end. Because you're also just a crazy dude who gets orders from someone you don't really know. And you just try to find out something. So, which I think is kind of funny. But the game looks fantastic, and I'm super excited to play it. And I think this is something I'm going to have to cheat a bit and play during the week, or maybe over the weekend.
Yeah.
It looks just so good. And I love the artwork. Just during the dialogues, they pop up with the artwork of a character who's talking to you, and it looks good.
So you're just gonna put off the Evil Within a little bit more.
No, I'm gonna play Evil Within during the week. I don't work during the week next week, so I'll have plenty of time to do it when Lauren's out. When Lauren's working, I'll be playing this. I'll be playing that. Actually, I might be even streaming it too on Twitch while I play it to keep me motivated.
All right. Well, we'll be sure to post your shit. I'll post my Twitch information too. We'll make a
I was gonna talk to you about
something.
that and how you want to do the whole Twitch thing. So
I
that'll
think
be
just
us.
the description's probably good. Sorry, once again, if you're on another platform or anything, go to our YouTube page, We Can't Code, if you want additional information.
We also have a Facebook page with basically nothing on it still.
Yeah.
I gotta work on that.
If you want to have like the only comment on our Facebook page, go for that. No,
Yeah,
you know what?
there was a thumbs up on it.
We already said we weren't gonna do this whole like comment, like, subscribe. So you know what? Don't go to our Facebook page and don't say anything. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Okay. Friday the 13th comes on October 13th. Obviously, I think we've said enough about that last week.
Wait, what? It's coming out again?
For PS4.
Oh, okay.
All right. And then WWE 2K18.
Don't buy it.
Dude, the Cena edition. It's only $150. Now I know it sounds like a lot.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
I actually would buy a WWE game just for the character creations again. Because I remember playing that on my Nintendo 64, and man, was that a fun game to play.
John Cena. Yeah, it's the Cena edition, and you only have to pay $150 for it, Mike. I bet you get like a hat with it.
Come on, shake my hand. Jeez, damn. Games. That's what I also want to touch on later in another podcast about how expensive these special packs are. It's like fuck.
Yeah, we could. That would be a cool conversation, actually. Like, what collector's editions were actually worth it? You know?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna.
I'd like to talk about that. Yeah.
Research. I want to do research on like all the collector packs and actually what came in with them and like what was advertised and what they actually looked like and all that stuff and how much they cost. Because that's something I also want to probably edit in our video too. If you watch it on YouTube, if you're listening on YouTube, I want to try edit in what they look like too as well. Because it's just, I need to know like what's so damn important that it adds another $60 or $40 to it. Just like you pay $100. When you think about it, though, I guess another $40 for all that stuff isn't too bad. But it's also, though, when you play a game, when you buy for a game that is, like, especially original, or, like, a new idea. Do you know what game that came out that was actually really good, I heard, was Last Horizon.
Wait, Event Last Horizon?
Oh, that game that came out, like, it was a PS4 game. It's when you play as a woman, and it's like...
Oh, yeah, it's called Horizon Zero Dawn. That's what
sorry. Horizon Zero Dawn, that was an original game, actually. I wish it had a PS4, because that game looked like really fun to play.
I've played the first hour of it, and I got distracted. Nothing against the game being bad or anything. Simply, I just got distracted from getting back to it.
Same thing with Hollow Knight. I got distracted, sadly, just with life, and I need to get back to that.
But no, I mean, if you wanted to talk about doing some, like, couch co-op or something, we were talking about, we were jokingly talking about Persona 5, but I would replay the first hour of Horizon Zero Dawn if you just wanted to do some like controller passing back and forth.
Yeah, that'd be fun to do.
That's a conversation for another time. Anyway, we should probably wrap this up. I don't
know.
No,
this has gone way too far. I was actually always worried if we ever be able to last for an hour. Damn, we're blowing past these things like they're nothing.
Hope you guys like a lot more just filler conversation. No, I actually thought this was a good conversation.
No, yeah, I thought it was fantastic. It's always nice to get to talk to you too, because we're always both so busy with our own stuff, so we don't really get a chance to talk anymore. So it's nice to catch up.
I see why you made this podcast now, Mike. It's just like,
I miss you, Ben.
Yeah, pretty much. You're like now Ben's
we never hang out.
Forced to talk to me for an hour.
Yeah,
motherfucker. But okay, so we're probably gonna sign off for this episode. Keep in mind though, we're officially getting our social media pages started up. So that's I might need some help with this, Mike. But let's see. There's Facebook, there's YouTube, Google All Access,
iTunes.
iTunes. Probably not. Probably this week. iTunes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Twitter. I think that we should probably make an official. Did you made a Twitch page, didn't you, for us?
Yeah, I made an official Twitch page for us, and so that's something I want to talk to you about and how you want to do. Twitch streaming and all that stuff. We have our own Twitch with our name on it, with We Can't Code.
Yeah, and so all this stuff you can look up We Can't Code, and then you'll find it.
Yeah. We Can't Code is, we actually somehow got that name, and that's on every single one. We even have a Patreon page, but I honestly just want to hold on to that so no one tries to scam people, because I lay here that's happening a lot with new people making subs that people immediately make like a Patreon and try to scam people for money. So we do have a Patreon page. It's also We Can't Code. That is ours. If you actually are dumb and give us money, we thank you immensely for it, but it's just there so people don't get scammed. and all that stuff. Because I don't want that happening to anyone at all. Because I think it's just awful when that happens.
I'm confused at what you're getting at exactly.
Well,
Sorry.
it's just I've been reading articles recently that
How are people getting scammed, I guess?
well, it's just that like people who are making content off of YouTube are making their own stuff. They don't have a Patreon page, so people then go on there, make a fake Patreon page with their name on it, and then people think it's actually theirs and start giving them money.
I
And
see.
so that's
Okay.
why I immediately wanted to make one right away. I just want to it's there, don't have to worry about it. That is going to be set up too to take donations, and if you do donate, you are the most amazing person to think that we're worth listening to, that you give us money, and we would appreciate it nonetheless. There's not going to be any prize or anything like that. We can't do prizes.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't do prizes, but I mean, we'll have to talk about it, obviously.
Yeah,
maybe
that's
some
like
better recording
yeah.
equipment. Maybe some we might add like some sound effects or something in the future, like some good transition
Yeah,
music.
definitely.
Anyway, a
But it's
conversation for
there.
probably off the podcast.
No, yeah. I'm just saying that if you do see it, that is us and all that stuff, and don't worry about it. And then, but yeah, that's our podcast for the day. And thank you for listening
Episode
for an
2,
hour
done.
and 30 minutes for episode 2.
Yeah, an
All
hour
right.
and 46. All right, see you guys next week.